Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? You're back. I want to thank you if you're tuning in. I'm your host, Paco, and you're listening to Occupy the Media. Don't forget you can chat with me on Facebook. 2 words, Paco Elijah, or we do have a chat on ronpaulradio.com that I try to keep in front of me at all times. And I'm on ronpaulradio.com every day, Monday through Friday, 10 to 12 noon Eastern Time and 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so what else do we have going on? If you haven't heard this, out today, Ron Paul ties President Obama in latest poll. Let's see here. The Ron Paul for President campaign released his statement. 2012 Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul would tie the sitting president 42 to 42% if the general election were held today, according to a recent survey from Rasmussen reported by Real Clear Politics. Quote, President Obama received support from the liberal establishment, including full reputational umbrella coverage from many in the media, and he is aided by $100 million advertising budgets. This poll tying Ron Paul with Obama is nothing short of a biting embarrassment for the president, said Ron Paul 2012 National Campaign Chairman Jesse Benton. And let's see here. Quote, Ron Paul continues to match or outperform the sitting president due in part to his plan to restore America, winning on principle as opposed to unfulfilled promises and overflowing campaign coffers. In short, the electability of the president should be held in question as voters shift attention from rhetoric and status quo solutions to authenticity, substance, and real change, added Mr. Benton. This poll marks the 3rd time this year Paul has either tied or bested Obama in a Rasmussen matchup poll. The data are derived from the responses of 1,000 likely voters surveyed from May 6 to May 7. And I guarantee you, if you had more voters in that survey, he'd whip Obama. You know, if you do it for real, I ain't never been asked on none of these surveys they do online. Oh, unless they do it online, that you can click on or whatever. But the ones they report online, the ones they report on the news, on TV, I ain't never been called. I ain't never been none of these surveys. It's probably because a lot of us don't have landlines, and even when I did, I still don't remember getting any. But anyways, I want to jump into this other article here. Let's see here. Okay, so we got everybody running scared, y'all. We were talking about Iowa before the break, so now we're going to get into Maine. Because, Maine is running scared as well. They're all running scared. And that's what they get. It's what they deserve. Maine considers return to presidential primary. You guys hear that? Maine is so scared of Ron Paul supporters, they're afraid what we'll do 4 years from now. Just like, last campaign, 4 years, look what happened. Imagine us 4 more years from now. They're running scared. They want to go back. They want to return to primaries. They don't want to have caucuses no more. I swear, man. Won't y'all just get the bibs, or I forgot what it calls. I mean, just wipe your tears. Get over it, man. Get over it. If anything, just hope that you don't end up in jail one day, and your crimes don't come out and don't get surfaced. Because when Ron Paul's president, a lot of things are going to come out more than we know. Okay, so let's see here. Maine considers return to presidential primary. This is at seacoastonline.com in Portland, Maine. Let's see here. The caucuses sparked a revolution at the state party convention by angry Ron Paul supporters. We always got to be angry, man. Could provide extra support for a bill that would put Maine on a path to return to presidential primaries in 4 years. Senate President Kevin Ray introduced the bill to restore presidential primaries a month after the GOP's handling of its caucuses generated widespread criticism. But it's criticism from the establishment. And if it's criticism from the grassroots and the people, it's because it doesn't come out right. We know y'all tampering with the votes. Supporters say primaries encourage greater voter participation compared to caucuses, which are often day-long affairs that tend to appeal to party activists. Okay, first of all, supporters say primaries encourage greater voter participation. It also encourages more and greater voter fraud. When you got the Diebold machines, the computer machines, ballots that don't fit right when they're putting in processing them. I mean, all types of things that are going on that are fishy. But when you do have a caucus, the people really got to come out and speak. And now you say something's wrong with the day-long affairs that tend to appeal to only party activists. Well, what's wrong? It's one of two things. Why aren't your party activists getting out anymore? Or two, we're the majority of the party activists. Don't get mad because now nobody's on your side. And you on the other end now. And you're getting booted out of your own party. Quote, Mainers, on the whole, regardless of the party, are more about to go to a voting booth than participate in a caucus, which is time-consuming and confusing, said Josh Tardy, a former GOP House leader. Both parties want to appeal to the regular, ordinary voter, not just the activists. Opponents tend to focus on the cost, which could reach more than $1 million compared to caucuses, which are funded through the parties. Ray's proposal, which has been scaled back, would require the Veterans and Legal Affairs Committee to draft a proposal to restore primaries to be considered by lawmakers next year. They're hurrying up. They're rushing. It awaits final action next week in the Senate. The non-binding Republican caucuses last winter were a messy affair, with Chairman Charlie Webster on February 11th declaring Mitt Romney to be the winner under the state committee's rules, even though a snowstorm delayed votes in Washington County. Supporters appalled the Texas congressman and a presidential longshot crowd cried foul. The GOP later acknowledged that numbers from some communities were inadvertently omitted and that the tallies were flip-flopped in Portland, Maine's largest city. Romney remained the winner even after figures were adjusted and Washington County held its vote, but angry Paul supporters had the last word when they took over the party's convention last weekend and stripped Romney of most of his delegates. Paul supporters installed their own convention chairman and won 21 out of 24 delegates to the national convention. And in case you missed it, yesterday we talked to Ginger from Maine. She was at the Maine convention. We did an hour-long interview. She broke down what went down, what happened. She even got more videos up exposing Romney bots passing out fake slates and running when the camera's on them. So you guys check that out on my YouTube page, Paco757. Also, the day before that, we talked to Mark Russell, that was another long interview, and we talked about Nevada's convention. He was actually the one that was live streaming or streaming the event that a lot of us were watching for a long time, man. That was a long convention, both of them. All right, so let's see, what else? Even if Ray's bills passes, it wouldn't address what happened at the convention. Parties, after all, make up their own rules for electing delegates to the national convention. Well, let's see here. Neither of the major parties has taken a position on Ray's proposal. Webster, for his part, said he has no interest in repeating the caucus problems that drew unwanted national attention. If he had a do-over, he said he would recommend against holding a non-binding vote that in the end had no bearing on apportionment of delegates. Quote, when it comes to the caucuses, one candidate got a few more votes than the other in this beauty contest poll, and it didn't mean anything, he said. So, yeah, want to go back to primaries? I say keep it at the caucus. Make it harder for them to cheat. It's always a problem when the Ron Paul supporters come. Always. Let's see here. What else is going on out there? We have on ABC News, they said that Ron Paul rejects convention chaos. Let's check that out. I think because he was interviewed today. I might have missed it. During the interview. Ron Paul's ability to accumulate an outsized number of delegates at state conventions has many observers wondering if the Texas congressman will embarrass Romney at the GOP national convention. We're embarrassing him now. And you know what? It ain't us. It's him. He's embarrassing himself. The GOP is embarrassing themselves. They need to realize that. All right, we're going to a break. We'll be back. I'm your host, Paco.